Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This one is for all the DC fans out there. In this video, I'm going to be talking about every live-action version of Supergirl. When I was first introduced to this character, it just seemed like they wanted to capitalize on the Superman hype and create a counterpart. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized Supergirl has always been something a little more complicated than just Superman, but female. Supergirl started to represent what it actually feels like to lose everything and still be expected to stand tall. She became a story about identity, about trying to belong in a world that is not yours, about carrying the trauma of watching your home planet die and having to build a new life from scratch. So join me as we look into what each version was really saying about the character. Supergirl 1984, Helen Slater. When I look at this first live-action Supergirl, what stands out to me is not the story or the villains, it is the idea behind her. This is Kara Zor-El before Supergirl really knows what she's supposed to be, and you can feel that uncertainty. She starts off as Superman's cousin, Jor-El's niece, someone who exists almost like a contingency plan. Even her introduction reflects that. She is protected and hidden away in Argo City, a surviving fragment of Krypton sealed inside a pocket dimension. She is watching the world instead of living in it. That distance does something to a person. Kara grows up knowing her home exists in limbo. That is a very specific feeling. It is not a total loss exactly, but it's not belonging either. When the city's power source, the Omegahedron, is accidentally lost and sent to Earth, Kara leaves the only home she has ever known to get it back. She becomes Supergirl because she leaves. The moment she steps into a new world, she gets powers, but that comes with a kind of cultural isolation. She is Kryptonian, but Krypton is gone. She is surrounded by people, but there is no one who fully shares her context. That is such a diasporic experience. Carrying a past that no one around you truly understands while still being expected to move on, as if it is not weighing you down, is no easy thing. When she takes on a human identity to achieve her goals, she is trying to understand how to exist in a world that is not Krypton. I have always had mixed feelings about how it ends, and the more I sit with it, the more complicated it feels. On the surface, it looks like a happy ending. Argo City is saved, the lights come back on, Kara succeeds. That is what the story tells us we are supposed to take away from it. But Kara has changed now. She has seen another world, lived another life, felt attachment and loss in a different way. You do not walk away from that untouched. Saving Argo City does not take away any of the experiences she had. I also think the ending leans a little too hard on duty as closure. Kara does the right thing, sacrifices personal happiness, and that is seen as enough. And maybe it is, but there is a lot of sadness in that choice. The issue of displacement is still not solved. She does not choose Earth, and she does not fully return to Argo either. She chooses responsibility. That is very Supergirl, but it is also lonely. Smallville, Laura Vandervoort. When I think of Smallville Supergirl, this is the version where the idea finally clicks for me. This is Kara Zor-El as someone who remembers Krypton. And that one choice changes everything. She is introduced in Season 7 as Clark's cousin, played by Laura Vandervoort, and right away, her energy is completely different from Clark's. Kara is not discovering her powers slowly or cautiously. She already knows who she is. She grew up on Krypton. What I really like is how confident she is at first. Kara does not see her powers as something that she needs to be afraid of or hide. She uses them instinctively, even recklessly, and that makes sense. Clark was raised to blend in, Kara was not. She was sent to Earth with a purpose, but she arrives late, to a planet where Krypton is already a grave, and Superman has already found his place. She is powerful, but she is out of time. Then we meet Brainiac, and from there, she never gets a break. Kara becomes a target almost immediately. She is manipulated, forced into space, trapped on Krypton in the past, and later imprisoned in the Phantom Zone, while Brainiac literally takes her place on Earth. Even when she returned, it feels like the universe keeps reminding her that safety is temporary. What I respect about her is that in 2010, Kara stopped hiding, went public, became a hero in Metropolis, and earns the name the Maiden of Might. She even takes on a new civilian identity, Linda Danvers, trying once again to build a life among humans. That openness comes at a cost. When the Vigilante Registration Act is passed, Kara becomes a hunted hero, forced to stay one step ahead just to remain free. And then she leaves. When Clark prepares to face Darkseid, Jor-El tells Kara her destiny lies elsewhere, so she puts on a Legion ring and travels to the future. Later, after time with the Legion of Superheroes, she returns and joins the Justice League. For me, this version of Kara is all about movement. She never gets to settle. She shows up just when she thinks she has found her footing, but something always pulls it out from under her.
Again! My parents!
Supergirl, 2015 to 2021. Melissa Benoist. No matter how many versions came before or after, Melissa Benoist's Kara Danvers is the one that stayed with. She works so well because she feels human first and heroic second. Kara Danvers is an immigrant who is constantly told she is supposed to be grateful, quiet, and hopeful no matter what happens to her. She is carrying the survivor's guilt of being the one who lived, and the pressure of being the good one in a world that already has a Superman. Her Supergirl also deals with very grounded problems. She wants to be taken seriously at work. She wants to do the right thing without becoming cynical. What really sells it though is how Benoist plays Kara's emotion. She gets angry. She gets hurt. She makes the wrong call because she believes in someone too much. Kara does not stop being hopeful, but her hope is earned. It is rebuilt every time it is broken. Melissa Benoist's Supergirl feels like someone who is trying to stay kind in a world that keeps giving her reasons not to. That is why I could connect to her version. Not because of her powers, but because she chose empathy again and again, even when it cost her. And when she breaks down, you feel that too. Her journey gets even bigger when her world folds into the Arrowverse. Suddenly, Kara is not just the hero of her own show. She becomes part of massive crossovers, faces universe-ending threats, and still somehow holds on to her compassion. That is what impressed me most. And she proves her strength too. This is a Supergirl who goes toe-to-toe with Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, and win. One of my favorite parts of this Supergirl will always be her friendships with Barry and Oliver. With Barry, everything feels easy. They share the same hope and awkwardness, and being around him lets Kara just be herself. With Oliver, it is different, but just as meaningful. These relationships made Kara feel truly a part of the Arrowverse. The Flash 2023, Sasha Calle. After almost 10 years, the DCEU finally introduces Supergirl in 2023's The Flash, and right away it feels like this version of Kara Zor-El is stepping into something heavy. She is not bright or hopeful. She has been imprisoned by the government, experimented on, and stripped of any sense of normal life. In a way, she's feeling the role Superman had in Flashpoint in the comics. At first, I thought there was potential there. Calle portrays Kara as quiet, angry, and exhausted, and that makes sense for what she has been through. But the film does not give her room to breathe. Before you can really connect with her, General Zod kills her. And what hurts more is that it does not matter how many times Barry tries to fix it. No matter how often the timeline resets, Kara still dies. Her death is permanent within that universe. Knowing what was happening behind the scenes makes it even harder. By the time The Flash came out, DC was already changing hands. James Gunn and Peter Safran had taken over. The DCEU was being shut down, and the future had already moved on. Calle's Supergirl was meant to matter in multiple endings of the film, but the final cut removes her entirely from the conclusion, so nothing unresolved carries forward. Her planned Supergirl movie was cancelled, and her story just stopped. DCU Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Millie Alcock. The last time we saw Millie Alcock's Kara Zor-El, she just dropped into the fortress like she had just walked in from a very long weekend. And I remember thinking, oh, this is different. Right away, this Kara feels quirky, messy, and unapologetically human. James Gunn introduces her with humor. This is Supergirl as a person. She is someone who parties on Red Sun planets because that is the only place a Kryptonian can actually feel anything resembling a buzz. Someone who is allowed to be a little reckless, a little chaotic. In a way, male heroes have always been allowed to be. The trailer brings in that vibe more. This is a 23-year-old Kara who has not figured it all out yet. And honestly, I love that. What really sold me, though, is the contrast she draws between herself and her cousin, and how she sees the truth and Clark tends to see the good in everyone. It tells you this Kara has seen too much, lived too hard, and is not interested in pretending the universe is kinder than it is. This version is clearly inspired by Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King and Bilquis Evely, a story that embraces Kara's rough edges and seems so different from Benoist's version. From what we know from the comic, she does not even choose the journey ahead. Kara gets pulled into it by Ruthie, a young alien girl who wants revenge. It puts her in a bleak, space western kind of story where her godlike strength offers no moral clarity, and being the most powerful person in the room is the least useful thing she brings with her. And that is why I'm excited. This feels like a Supergirl who can be flawed, angry, loyal, self-destructive, and still deeply good. Okay guys, now I want to hear from you. Which version is your favorite? As we move into this new era, with Millie Alcock's Supergirl just starting her story, who does Kara get to be when she is not trying to live up to anyone else's idea of her? Please spam our comment section with your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed watching the video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more. Thanks for staying till the end.